Recording is on.
So, welcome to this new session of the Uyuni Community Awards. I'm Marina Latini, and I will be your host for today. So, the agenda. Risha will give us some details about the Playbook variable editor in the Ansible UI. Then Thomas will tell us more about the Maven migration that we have ongoing. And later on, Paolo will tell us what changes for Sumaform with the adoption of OpenTofu. And last but not least, I will tell you more about the AQUIC and what is AQUIC and what you can expect from this event. So let's dive into the first presentation. Risha, stage is yours.
Yeah, I will share my screen. Okay, why it's showing me this? Okay. Just give me 1 minute. It's not showing me my Ansible screen. I don't know.
Sure. If you need a bit more time, we can also just change the order and go to the... okay, it's there.
Now you can see
Yep.
the page. Okay.
Yeah, we see the Unisystem page.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
So yeah, so this is a new feature which we are adding to the Ansible playbook, where when user has his playbook, so we are supporting editing variables which he might have in his playbook. So this is the demo file which I have, and I have added few variables over here. So if in case a user wants to add or modify any variable, he can use this new feature. So there is a button to open a pop-up. So it will open a UI for the for the editing. So you can see on the right side we have all the variables which you can see, and then on the left side we have this form where you can see all the variables, and you can modify over there. So you can kind of sync between the left and right side of the UI. Like this is a web app which is the main object, and then there are under that you can see the nested variables, and user can add if he wants to change something new over here, he can add it over here. If he wants to add new for example, if any objects are there, so he can add a new dictionary or list to that object. And there are, like, you can add new list to the existing variables, true, false. There are different types of variable formats which we support over here. And in the end we also provide free text if user wants to add something which is not in the existing editor, so in the file, so he can add a new variable over here which will be the part of this var object. And he can save it. For example, if I maybe made some, okay, for example, I change this name and I save it, you can see it reflects in the Ansible playbook. Along with the UI, we are also providing a YAML editor. If user wants to have a free hand, so he can change anything from here. He can add new, for example, I can add new object or object over here, for example, at any level. So you can save it, and you can see, oops, something is broken over here. or I think I replaced it. But basically, something is I have to see. But basically, it will save the object. And also we supporting, for example, in this case, if user make any mistake while editing, and if he wants to switch back to UI, it will show you the error. Um, if the YAML is not correct syntax in a correct syntax, so you can always switch back between these two UIs. And also we have an option to expand all if you want to have a look of everything open, so you can expand all the panels and you can make the changes over here. So this is the small enhancement which we are adding to the playbook. So yeah, that's it, everything from my side. Also, yeah, also you can delete the existing variable if you want. So we are also providing that feature. At any level you can delete any object or any nested variables, and you can always save and it will save the changes. So yeah, that's it from my side.
Thanks a lot for the demo, Risha.
Question
So,
or something?
yep, let's see if maybe there are questions from the audience. Julio?
So yeah, looks very nice. I have just one small request. Not sure how complicated it would be in terms of code, of course, but when you were showing the error validating the YAML, would it be possible to show at least the first line where an error was
Yeah,
found?
yeah, I will do that. Yeah, that's what I was working on that, but we can do that. So, but I'm still working on it. And I think something is broken because I was testing. So you saw that changes didn't saved, but yeah, okay, I will do that.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Any other comment or question? Doesn't seems to be the case. So thanks a lot again, Risha, for the presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, and yeah, in the meantime, if I can click on the screen sharing, let's go to the next presenter. So Thomas, if you're ready, we can see what you can tell us about this migration to Maven.
Yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, I'm Thomas, and I'm going to talk to you about the migration to Maven that is happening. Let me share my screen. Share. Okay, do you see my screen in the presentation?
Still no?
So far, I can only see a black background.
Okay. Let's see what happened now. Okay, now you should see my screen.
Yep. No. Yes.
Okay, not sure what happened before. So this is a quick session, a quick tour about Maven and the basics and how it works. It's mainly targeted to developers who want to contribute to the Java part of the application, because yeah, what happened is that we merged the long-standing pull request to migrate to Maven, and basically what happened is that the source code has been restructured because we moved the code in order to adhere to the Maven directory structure. So now the code is under src main Java and not in the folders that it used to be. The dependency has been a little bit cleaned up because we had some declaration of dependency and dependency that were not exactly matching the correct artifact in Maven. And at this point, we are still using OBS to Maven to retrieve all the dependencies, so that we are using the one from our own packages and not directly Maven Central. And now you can build, test, deploy, and do code analysis using the Maven plugins and the Maven command line tools. But yeah, at this point, it's important to note that Ant is still working as before, so you can continue to use build Ant to build and to deploy and to do your everyday modification. The first things that I want to show is the new modular structure that we have, because as I said, the code has been restructured, and now what we have is that Spacewalk Java is a submodule of uyuni-Java parent, which was the already existing Maven project that we used to share the dependency among the other Maven projects that we had. Now Spacewalk Java is now a submodule of uyuni-Java parent, and it's divided into three main modules. The docklet, which is the part that we use to build the documentation, basically, is not used by the application, but is used to build the documentation for the application. Then we have core, which is basically the main jar file containing all the code at the moment, and the web app, which is containing the JSP pages. This is the division that we have at the moment, and the code that we had before, it was all contained inside the code folder, has been split among these three modules. And then we have another module, which is branding, which was the old branding project that has been moved to Maven as well, and is now a submodule of uyuni-Java parent as well. So now let's go to show you how this works in practice. So as I said, since now we have a modular Maven project, the first thing that you need to do in order to be able to conveniently work with Maven is you need to install the uyuni-Java parent, because then you need it in your local repository. So to do that, you just call install non-recursive, because we don't want to build the whole tree initially, but we just want to install the parent POM, and this operation will install the parent POM inside your local repository. At this point, you can do the same thing for branding, which is a dependency of Spacewalk Java, so you don't have to deal with it every time. As you can see now, this is also a Maven module, so it's built with Maven as well. And then you can go inside the usual Java project, and here you can start issuing your Maven commands. So for example, you can just do mvn package to build the application. So as you can see, the first time that you run it, OBS with Maven will trigger in order to download the dependency from OBS and retrieve the correct jars that we are using to build the application. Here I am a bit cheating because I already downloaded almost all of them, so it does not take all the time. And once all the dependency have been downloaded, the Maven build will proceed to compile and build the application. So let's wait a second that the build's complete. And in the meantime, I can talk you about this dependency resolution. This dependency resolution is done by an external script, which is located inside scripts Maven, and this one is called download lock to local repository. This script is basically calling OBS to Maven to build the local repository and doing some other kind of magic in order to hack for a dependency that is not in Maven. But yeah, basically it's just calling the old OBS to Maven with a different parameter and building a different repository. You can also call it manually if you want, in order to execute it manually. But yeah, this is done. This is taken care by OBS to Maven when it detects by Maven when it detects that the OBS to Maven configuration has changed, basically. And you can also force the execution by calling Maven and passing the parameter OBS to Maven .force. This will force again the execution of OBS to Maven and will download again the dependency. In this case, there is nothing to download, and we'll just proceed to the build. Then the other thing that you can do with Maven is you can deploy. And like you used to do before, you can just call the deploy task, and then you pass the parameter to the host where you want to deploy. So as before, the name of the parameters is deploy host, and in my case it's uyuni server.dev.local, and this will proceed to deploy the application. Basically, I need to speed up this attach source. Not sure why every time is rebuilding the sources. I will see if I can make it that it doesn't do it every time. But yeah, now it's executing the deployment to deploy to Tomcat and Taskomatic. As you can see, it's already deploying the branding jar, the rechain jar, and it's restarting Tomcat and Taskomatic. And at this point, you can see the new version of the code on your server. And this is taken care by a script that we have as well. And this is also located in scripts, Maven, and this is called unoriginally deploy. And this script is currently integrating only for deploying the web app and the code to Taskomatic, but it's already able to also deploy the front-end code and also the salt files that we have. So you can also deploy directly the front-end with this script and not use the old Ant script for those. But at the moment, the only operation that it is integrated with Maven is the deployment of the web app. And because in future, the idea is to be able also to deploy Taskomatic only and to deploy maybe only the jar without redeploying the web application once we have separated the code among the correct modules. We have other parameters that we support. For example, in Maven, we can, for example, generate the API docs if we want. And this will use the doclet that we build in order to generate the documentation of the API. And this will be part of the final word that is built. So here you can see that JavaDoc tool is running in order to generate the API docs and add them to the word. So when you deploy the web app, you will also see the API documentation there. The part that we have in the help. And the other parameter that we have as well is the one to precompile the JSP. So we have another parameter that is precompile JSP. And this can be used to do precompilation of the JSP if you want. This is not very useful when developing because the compilation will happen the first time you open the page. But if you want, you can precompile and deploy all the JSP. So the main advantage for a developer for this is that you can go to your IDE of choice, in this case IntelliJ. You can open the project, and then the IDE detects automatically the Maven build structure and can load directly the projects into the IDE without having to configure anything, basically. So now we can wait a bit for this to open, and then we can see here that we have all the dependency. Now we need to give it a minute in order to resolve everything and index everything, but we can see the structure that I was showing before. So we have uyuni-java parent, and then we have all the modules, and the Spacewalk Java is now split in this way. And here you can already start to open our classes. They are already detected. I can already jump between classes without everything, because everything is being detected automatically from the Maven POM, basically. And one of the advantages of Maven, for example, let me, for example, open server factory. So, for example, here we are calling Uyuni session and we are creating the query. And here I can see the decompiled class of the session, but I can just click on download sources now, and I can obtain the source for Hibernate, the version of Hibernate that I'm using. And so I can, if I need to debug something or see the documentation of a specific method, I can just download the source or download the Java doc directly from Maven and have it available here in my IDE. And another thing that I have added as part of this project is the support. Well, it was already there, but I modified and make it up to date with Maven, is the support for the developer container. So when you open Uyuni in an editor that supports the container, for example, Visual Studio Code in this case, it will prompt you to reopen the project in the container, and you can choose the development container. And here you have already an environment that is ready to be used to build and work with your project. So as you can see here, the classes are already available. Here is activating all the extension, and all the extension that you need to work with our project are already installed and available inside the container. And so you kind of already have an environment to start working without having to worry to install dependency or packages or stuff that you need. You don't have to wonder about what you need in order to get started. You can just run this dev container and start working with the project. And yeah, that's basically it from this quick tour that I wanted to show. Last thing that I wanted to talk about is the next step that are going to happen when time allows, and not sure if this will be the correct order in which they will happen, but the first thing that I will want to do is to move the test outside of the test sub-package, because now they are separated inside the proper Maven structure. But the idea is to move them outside of the test sub-package, because this will allow Java developers to take advantage of the fact that the test class live inside the same package of the class they're testing, so that you can use at that point package visibility to have stuff that is only used for test or only visible during the test. We should restructure the path once again, because at the moment the code is a bit scattered among the microservices folder and the Java folder. It would be nice to have only one Java parent folder where all the Java code lives. This should be doable, but it requires moving the code around again. And then the other objective is to run all the tests outside of the test container with Maven. Currently, there are still a couple of tests that are failing when run with Maven. I need to investigate them. Not sure why at the moment, but there are like 4 tests that are not working properly with Maven. They are failing, but you can run your test with Maven. That's the thing that I haven't shown, but you can run tests directly from your IDE or from the command line, and it will work without any problem if you have run the database container beforehand. Then the idea is to move all the GitHub workflow and the Jenkins pipeline that we have to Maven. So instead of building with Ant, they will start use Maven to build and deploy the application. At the moment, they are still using the Ant build, but as I said, everything is working as before with Ant. Then the idea is to start to refactor the core package with the core module, which now contains basically all the code, and move the class that are specific to the web app to the web app module, and move the class that are specific to Taskomatic to the Taskomatic module. This would be extremely useful, especially for the other projects and migration that we have in mind, but it will take time. And then the idea is to use Maven also to build the package in OBS. So at that point, we can get rid completely of Ant and IV. And then there's the bonus point that I was wondering in these days, and it's the creation of a Maven OBS plugin, which sounds like rebuilding OBS to Maven, but hear me out. So this will allow us to resolve the dependency directly from OBS instead of Maven Central, and would not require any developer to install anything else apart from Maven. And this will allow also to avoid an external OBS Maven config.yaml, which is always a bit of a problem to maintain and keep all the dependency details inside of the POM. And this could be done, I think, very easily. And yeah, that's all for my presentation. So if you have any question, let me maybe stop
And it
sharing.
seems that Cedric is already raising his hand.
Yeah, go on.
But Cedric, you're on mute.
Yeah, we cannot hear you.
Oh, right. I first want to highlight that it's a fantastic job. Thank you for this, Thomas. I dreamed of it for a long time, and you made it. At least it's a very first nice step. What I'm curious about is the OBS to Maven to OBS plugin. How would you specify where and which OBS repo or package you would find the jars? Because this is basically what OBS Maven config.yaml is doing.
Yes, there are a couple of options here. The first thing that I thought was to use a pre-processing instruction inside of the XML. So use something like, I'm not sure if
Okay, yeah. The
open brackets and question mark. Those
yes.
are ignored by, because we cannot customize the format of the XML because Maven is going to complain because that's validated against the
schema. Yeah.
The schema. But we can add pre-processing instructions. So that was the first solution that came to my mind. But then I realized that the type and the classifier fields of the artifact declaration are custom. So we could put type RPM and classifier, put the package name, for example, and the jar name. And we could declare the repository inside normal properties. So have properties with the declaration of the repository, and then have a classifier, something like lib, column, package name, column, jar name.
Okay.
And that would perfectly work with the plugin. The problem is that it will completely break Maven, so you will need the plugin in order to download the dependency. Because initially I was thinking about of being able to choose to download the dependency or from Maven Central or from OBS. If we build the plugin, it will be OBS only.
Okay. So if you don't know what to do for Hack Week, then there you have something.
Any other question? Seems no. Well, let me say again, thanks a lot, Thomas. Indeed, was really good to see this kind of improvement. And I'm pretty sure that the developers would be super happy to see it live and work with it.
Thank you.
Okay, then let me quickly reshare my screen so I can tell you that the next presentation will be about Sumaform and the switch to OpenTofu. So Paolo, if you're ready, feel free to take over.
Yeah, thanks, Marina. Hope everyone can hear me well. And hi. I'll share my screen. Ooh, nope, this camera. Should be coming through. Yeah, I think so. All right, so yeah, Sumaform. Let's quickly spend a minute to talk about it for those who don't know what it is. It's basically a tool, but really a collection of Terraform modules and salt states scripts in Python or Bash. And everything basically that we need to deploy environments for both Uyuni and SUSE Manager. Those environments are basically VMs. You can like deploy a VM for a proxy, for your server, create some minions with some available as images, which include most of the distros you probably would use, like our Ansible distros, Debian, Red Hat, whatever. And yeah, this tool is being extensively used by us internally for CI pipelines, for testing, for basically just to avoid having to do manual setups of everything anytime we want to do something end to end. And since it's based upon Terraform and it uses some Terraform providers, we had like in our backlog for quite a long time to update the Terraform version we support, which used to be 1.0.10, which was quite old. And yeah, so how did we end up with OpenTofu? The problem with Terraform, actually HashiCorp, I would say, rather than Terraform itself, is that in 2023, the license for it changed, and HashiCorp changed from a completely open source license to a more closed one. That's because mainly they wanted to avoid someone to build like let's say a Terraform wrapper or a Terraform as a service thing that can be sold in the cloud. That was their main thinking. So that's not really a problem for us from that point of view, but it could be problematic because such license kind of allows them to further restrict it if they want to. And also it is quite shady in the aspects of what's things you can use freely and what should be under control can be possible of some commercial license. So yeah, like the community itself kind of asked the HashiCorp to revert this decision. That did not happen, and so a new project was started, a fork of Terraform, which at the very beginning was named OpenTF, then became OpenTofu, and this is currently being actively maintained. Yeah, it has its own website. It's pretty active. It's open source. You can participate to it. Features to be developed and issues to be fixed are decided by the community. They have these kind of polls, and every week, every month, they discuss what to do. And yeah, so for us, it's quite the bone because it works also as drop-in replacement. Like everything we were doing with Terraform, we can replicate in OpenTofu easily. I'll show later. And it also has a new features that maybe we'll start using in the future, and it's quite a lot of focus on security and privacy. And before we dive into a bit of more practical examples, what I would like to say is that you can get OpenTofu, the providers we use, pretty much everything from around the websites and other repositories. But for the systems, we are providing one of our own repositories in OBS, so it's freely accessible by everyone. And currently we support lib16, slash SP15, SP5 to SP7, and Tumbleweed. And yeah, you can, it's also mentioned in the docs for Sumaform itself, but you can just come to OBS and search out Sumaform. And see really the system management Sumaform is, yeah, what I was showing before. And you can pick up your distro, like in my case, Tumbleweed. Go to the repo, and this is the path you would add if you wish to add your repository. Okay, and yeah, just to show a couple of things. I hope you can see VS Code right now, and it's big enough.
Yes, it's visible.
Yeah. Okay. If everyone wants to have a bigger font, just tell me. Okay, so let's assume you have your main TF with whatever configuration you want to have for deploying something. Previously, you might have been used to use Terraform init, Terraform, all the other commands. Right now, you can do the same with OpenTofu, like it's a complete drop-in replacement. Nothing really changes from that point of view. So you can init. You will see it picks up the providers. In my case, I'm just using the libvirt one. And you can use really the very same commands we were using before. Okay, right now I have honestly just a dummy thing. I don't really deploy anything, so we can as well kill it. And yeah, and you can as well run tofu destroy. What I want to say is that right now we officially support OpenTofu. Moving forward, we will be using OpenTofu to develop. But at this very point in time, you can still use Terraform. Like I have it installed, almost the most recent version. They just released a new one. And therefore, you can also like init with Terraform apply. Yeah, as you can see, that they are one can be used in place of the other for what we are currently doing. I mean, like you can even kind of midway switch to the other one because they parse the state they produce is kind of the same until you have features that are supported by both. So like I've used Terraform to apply. I can even like init tofu and destroy with tofu right now. And that works. But what I would like to say is that I strongly recommend if you want to use Sumaform and if you want to work with it, give us issues, whatever. Like if you wish to have something developed with it, I would strongly recommend to do it with OpenTofu from now on, because OpenTofu does have features that Terraform does not support. One of such features is the encryption at rest of the state. And what this means is like that usually Terraform saves its state in a file, and this file is, as you can see, is kind of clearly readable. Like if I do sorry, that's actually if I do apply, okay. Yeah, well, you will see basically it's saving its data about what has been used, what's the configuration, and so on. And I don't know, for someone that wants this data to be private and like be encrypted, Tofu allows to do that. I will show now one of such features, but first let's start from a clean slate. So I'm just cleaning up the files basically left by. Also, like OpenTofu calls the files in the very same way of Terraform. It's still Terraform TF state and whatever else. So if you add like previous ones, those should be readable by OpenTofu. Okay, so like if we actually add an OpenTofu only feature like the encryption and rest, which I have here, what you will notice is that Terraform doesn't know what this encryption thing is, but OpenTofu does. There we go. Let's apply. Yeah, okay. And yeah, now the states should be encrypted. Yeah, you cannot, it's encrypted data. And yeah, this is based on an encryption key, which actually is coming from a TF vars file. So you can still use also like your previous files defining variables and whatever, they still work with OpenTofu. It reads them the same as Terraform. Yeah, that was just my quick preview. Sumaform is quite the big thing. It's not the easiest thing to configure. So if you intend to use it, feel free to ask out. If you find issues or something odd, which I know is there, you feel free to ask for help and we can provide it. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Paolo. And yep, Julio, feel free to go.
Yeah, quick question. Do you foresee that we are going to use things from OpenTofu soon enough so people should just move away from Terraform? And related to this, I think we still need to change some things in some repositories and somewhere else to make maybe make OpenTofu more prominent. And probably on the contributing guide for Sumaform, we should specify there that if you are doing any kind of contribution, you should always test that it works with OpenTofu. If it doesn't work with Terraform, would we still accept it, or what would be the policy here?
Like we will be OpenTofu first. At this very moment in time, like you can probably still use Terraform quite freely. It's not a big deal. Like everything we had from in the past is still completely a subset of what OpenTofu can do. Like we can handle everything we used to do in the past. For new features like the one I showed, the encryption at rest, I don't foresee like an early adoption of it, like probably not in the very near future. But like our team is currently looking in something that might help us to refactor or improve what we have. So at some point in time, I would expect sooner or later we will land on something that is OpenTofu only. At that point in time, we will probably also kind of enforce it more also in the version files in the dependencies. Right now, like the versions we use are really kind of open. It's easy to switch both from Terraform to OpenTofu. At some point, if we pin an OpenTofu version, things change.
Okay, very good. Then expect a pull request from me to change a little bit the contributing guide at least.
Yeah, nice, thank you. Yeah, that's a work in progress. We just switched. Yeah, probably there is still a lot to be adapted but yeah.
Any other question for Paolo? Doesn't seem to be the case. So again, thanks a lot, Paolo. And I think we can move forward to the last topic for today. And let me try to share again the screen. Okay. So the last topic for today is Aquic. If you are not new to the community awards, probably you saw already some presentations about Aquic, but let me give you some details. So this year, Aquic will be from December 1st to December 5th, so next week is going to be Aquic. And even if a lot of SUSE's employees are actually working to projects on Aquic, this is something open to everyone. So if you are not an employee, you can just jump in, propose a project, or join an existing project and have fun for this full week of hacking all together. The theme for this edition is the Remain Curious. And of course, for Uyuni, we are continuing to be part of Aquic. Also this year, we have some projects planned. You can find all the different projects that for now have been submitted directly searching for the Uyuni topic. And this is the list for now. So we have, as usual, the testing and adding new GNU Linux distributions to Uyuni. Then we have another project for the health check Grafana troubleshooter. Then we have some work, some planned work, some ideas on the Uyuni read-only replica. And last but not least, we have two projects around QA. And the first one is the move of the Uyuni test framework from Selenium to the Playwright Plus AI. And then we have another project always around AI, but in this case for try to find the really nasty flaky test in both Uyuni and of course also Multi-Linux Manager. And given that we have some of the people driving those projects, maybe you want to jump on mic and tell us something. I don't know, Julio?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I hope some of you already know me from previous editions. For this time, the main focus for the distributions is going to be finishing the support for OpenSUSE Lib 16 and SUSE Linux Enterprise 16. And then we also want to keep working on adding support for Zorin OS, which is becoming quite popular if you are reading the news nowadays. Also fast. And I added something that is to be started from scratch, which is Debian 13. You know that the release happened a few months ago. Those are the plans for now. But of course, if you want to add any other distribution, then feel free to join and make your proposals. In some cases, especially if you are going to add something that is related to an existing distribution that we already support, is usually quite easy adding support for that, and you don't really need to be a super experienced software developer, and in some cases not even a software developer. I always tell the story that we had in the past someone from sales or pre-sales, I don't remember anymore, but he was helping us adding the support for Debian, and that is how we have Debian now added to Uyuni. And of course, you don't need to code. You can also help us testing. You can help us with the documentation and some other things. So just get in touch if you are interested.
Thanks. And maybe Jirai, do you want to jump on the other project? Do you want to tell us something?
Of course. Well, I hope you can hear me. Yes. Well, my project. You can hear me, right?
Yep.
Yeah, sir. Sorry, I was having trouble with my headset. Yeah, my project is based on a previous, well, a couple of years ago, the health check that is based on Grafana. That is, I mean, we part from a support config from a Uni server, and we create a Grafana dashboard with panels with information metrics, log errors, alerts that give the Uni administrator with information about how to troubleshoot a problem that is taking it's been having. So my idea was improving this health check with LLM capabilities. So there is a Grafana plugin to, I mean, that it is existing already, that it's called Grafana LLM app, I believe, or app. And my idea was using this plugin to connect as backend to connect it the Grafana dashboard to an LLM, and create a context-aware chat panel, so we can ask the LLM with the context from the metrics that you have in the Grafana dashboard. You can ask the LLM for what's happening here, or why there was a problem 1 hour ago. The services were down or whatever. So you can prompt the LLM, and the LLM would be context aware because the metrics are there and the log errors are there. So the idea is like researching on that, because I don't have any experience with anything related to creating a Grafana plugin. So any help would be appreciated in that regard. And yeah, and that's mostly it.
Thanks a lot. And for the next project, maybe Cedric, do you want to tell us something more about this read-only replica that you have in mind?
Yeah, so it's a silly ID. We always have been asked for HA for Uni, and we cannot do it yet. The idea here is to make one step towards this, is to have a read-only replica of your Uni server that you could use for downloading packages, checking the UI, but not changing things there. And that would be easier to switch to that replica if the main one fails. So basic idea is to try to synchronize PostgreSQL, have logical replication. This can be quite a tricky problem already, and then see how we can configure to get that replica as usable as possible. Yeah, Andre is also helping on this one. I'm not sure to what extent I will be able to work on this one, because I have another project that is somehow a bit more pressing for me and not Uyuni related.
Okay, Well, unfortunately, we don't have Oscar for telling us more about the last two projects, but as usual, after Aquic, we will have some custom community hours where we will present the outcome of what we were able to cook during the Aquic. If you want to jump on one of those projects, of course, feel free. If you have other ideas and you didn't submit still, well, you have a bit of time, but yeah, have fun and try to join us. Aquic is always a really nice week to spend time together and cook something new. And let me go back to the chat because I saw someone that wanted to speak.
Yes, Julio.
Yeah, feel free to go.
You're muted, Julio,
But
by
you're
the
on
way.
mute.
I'm sorry. I was trying to find the URL for the uyuni-projects. Maybe you can paste the URL to the chat, Marina,
Oh,
so
sure.
someone who's interested can just have a look.
Good point.
And remember that we also have a Gitter channels for Hack Week. And there is the devil channel there as well, where we can all work together.
Yeah, maybe we could send a reminder on the announce list so people can have a look. Yeah, good point. Thanks a lot. Okay. Any other comment, question? Do you have anything else to share with us? Because at the moment we are. Let me share again the screen. Sorry. We are exactly at the Q&A session. If you have anything else to ask or to share. Okay, doesn't seem to be the case. So, well, oh no, someone is asking to speak. Feel free to go.
Yeah, just about the Hack Week. I didn't have the opportunity to create a project yet on the Hack Week page, but I'm planning to play around with Uni to be able to manage Kubernetes clusters using a set of tools that we have regarding K3S and system update controller, and be able to trigger at large scale updates of these Kubernetes clusters using Uni. So let's see how that goes.
That sounds exciting. So don't forget to create your project, and more important, don't forget to add the Uyuni tag on it, so we can find it easily. And thanks. Well, we still have 5 minutes.
Julio, there is a question from Simon on the chat about if there is a documentation listing the processes for adding OS support. Do you have something like that? I know that you have lots of data.
It's not complete, I think.
I was trying to write on the chat, but you were faster than me. Yeah, so no, I don't think we have at this moment something like a doc. On the, of course, there are some hints already on the project if you go there, because it tells you what some of the files that you should be changing. I should probably add a link to a pull request that we have merged in the past. Of course, each year the pull request is a little bit different because the product keeps evolving. But if I have time during this Hack Week, maybe I will prepare something. Of course, we will need to keep it updated because, well, for example, if we are moving files around as we are doing for Maven, then the links will not be valid next year. But that is part of life. At least if I can provide something that is a hint and can allow you to go to the right parts of the work, of the source code, then that would be a good start. But just join our GitHub project if you want to collaborate, and then I can give some pointers there, even if we don't have the documentation. That is what I did for that person that helped us years ago adding the Debian support.
Great. Yeah, it will be nice to have some additional help on Debian 13. Definitely, yes. Thanks, Simon. Okay, any other question, comment, or idea that was popping to your mind while listening?
Well, I know we're far from there, but Google Summer of Code has ended this for this year, and it's about time that we start thinking about ideas for next year, for projects for next year. So I'll probably remind you every now and then that try to add to think about ideas and add them to the OpenSUSE mentoring issues list.
Thanks a lot. And maybe you want to send an announcement also to the list. If you want.
Yeah, it's probably a bit early, but yeah.
Okay. Any last minute comment? Don't be shy. Okay, then thanks a lot for joining and see you next time.
Bye bye.
Bye. Happy hacking.
Backing, right?